Hello, welcome to this Instagram live conversation where we are going to be inviting in some really important young people who have helped to create a brand new resource that is available for free. We have young people who are going to be joining from a few different places. We have as well as two teen producers from 92NY joining. So I see those requests. I am accepting them right now. You guys are right on time. I love it. Hi, Queena and Raphael. Hello in New York. I'm in Baltimore. We met online before, but it's so nice to see you in this live conversation. And hi, Daniel.
Hello.
Thanks for joining. We have one more coming in, Grace as well. So y'all are so on it. I love it. I am Marta Abawaji for anyone tuning in right now. I work as the head of community engagement at Springtide Research Institute, and I am so pleased to have these four young people with us who have just been tremendous in supporting this really unique digital flipbook. It's a time capsule. It's called the LessLonely #2022 time capsule. You can find it right now online at springtideresearch.org/LessLonely. It's just hot off the press, the digital press. It released just a couple weeks ago. We wanted it to come out during May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month, and 92NY as well as Springtide. We're both partners with MTV's Mental Health Action Day, which was just last week, but we are continuing to talk about mental health, not just in the month of May, far beyond. Springtide is in a series in 2022, extending into 2023, called our Mental Health and Gen Z series. So this LessLonely time capsule fits right in that. Queena and Raphael are part of the team producers who helped create this. So you're going to hear more about this resource and how you can utilize it throughout this live conversation today. So I'd love to have Grace and Daniel and Queena and Raphael, just if you guys could introduce yourselves a bit, then we'll get going with some more questions. But I'd love to have you give your name, your pronouns, your current location, and if you're a student, what grade you're in, and maybe give us a few hobbies too.
Daniel, do you want to go first?
Sure, why not? Okay, cool. So, Daniel Lindbergh Lang. I am calling in from Munich, Germany. So
which is late right now, right?
Yeah, that's why I'm laying in a bed. Let's see. Oh, yeah, pronouns. I'm male. So, there we go. He, him. Yeah, and I'm in school right now. I have been serving with the St. Francis Xavier Lay Missionary Society in Asia for a while, but now I'm on a pilgrimage for the Oberammergau Passion Play, so getting to connect more with my Catholic roots on my ancestry from the Germany-Austria side. So, hobbies.
That is cool. Thank you for tuning in when it is so late for you. With this project, was international. We had submissions that came from 4 continents, so it's only right that we have people joining this conversation international as well.
Indeed, and hobbies are definitely traveling among them and writing. So I got my journal right here next to me. So it's only fitting that I would be traveling while talking about writing.
We're so glad that your story was one of the submissions as well, Daniel. Grace, will you introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course. My name's Grace. My pronouns are she, her. I'm 16. I'm a junior in high school. Right now, I'm in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And some of my hobbies, I really like writing as well. I like to read, and I also really like doing theater.
Love it. We're so happy that you could join as another Springtide ambassadors, but let's hear from the team producers from 92NY who are coming from the Belfer Center for Innovation and Social Impact in New York right now. Queena and Raphael, do you want to introduce each of yourselves? Are you guys frozen? I wonder if we're having a little bit of a pause there. It feels like a still image I'm catching. So we'll wait to see if the video catches up there. Let me see what's going on. Oh, here we go. I'm re-accepting a request from 92NY. Let's see if it reconnects. Okay, awesome. Queena and Raphael, I couldn't tell if you were standing really still or not. It was like we had a frozen image of you. So you're live, you're back with us, which is wonderful. Will you both introduce yourselves?
Yeah, my name is Queena. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm currently 11th grade. Some of my hobbies are watching dramas.
Awesome. So happy that you have contributed in a number of ways to this project. Thanks for joining for today's conversation. Raphael?
My name is Raphael. My name is Raphael. I'm in grade 11, and I go by the He series. And some of my hobbies are I like playing sports, hockey, basketball, and yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. I'm excited you're here too. So my first question is for you two, actually, for Queena and Raphael, because you helped us create the first part of this activation, which was an online forum where we gathered stories about young people as well as trusted adults' experiences of belonging. You also helped create some graphics after reviewing Springtide data on belonging and on loneliness, and you've been so pivotal through the whole LessLonely project with the Belfer Center. So if you could just let us know how has it been being involved in this experience and helping all of these stories be collected from worldwide.
Yeah, I think that coming from the LessLonely project, where our goal is to destigmatize loneliness in Gen Z, this is like the perfect collaboration. It's you guys heavily researched in Gen Z as well as the topic of loneliness, and this collaboration between our two organizations, can create something like this, the digital flipbook, and provide a resource for those that are lonely and need help. And I also think the process of making content as well as even overviewing your existing sort of statistics is amazing, and it really does broaden our perspective of youth loneliness.
So well said. Yeah, I agree. This collaboration has been a dream. We've shared so much of the same goals and same commitments to address loneliness for your generation.
Being involved in the LessLonely project was a learning experience, and especially for this activation, I was able to reflect on my own mental health, and sending that out to the flipbook was able to allow others to also realize their own connections with others.
Oh, I'm so glad. Queena's story is the first story, actually. Once you are in the first notice section, that's the very first one you get. So you set the tone really well for the research that's shared as well as the rest of the stories that are in there. Daniel, you, like I mentioned, you're a Springtide ambassador who had a story submission for this this time capsule, this digital flipbook, and you're also in the notice section, as well as I mentioned Queena was. And we found that more stories, when we asked young people how they were experiencing belonging or how they wished to experience a sense of belonging, most of them fit in the noticed framework, because we have a whole set of research that outlines a pretty simple approach to build belonging, and it's called noticed, named, and known. And it's almost like a tier of building belonging towards that known level. But notice is the most primary, and a lot of the story submissions captured a longing for that, just for young people to be noticed in their hallways, in their classrooms, and in different settings or communities in which they're connected. So Daniel, can you put the story that you shared, can you give it to us in your own words a little bit?
Right. So in my case, having graduated school, but still reflecting on the good ways that upperclassmen had gotten me involved with the community, I really wanted to pay that forward. And so, for me, one of the big ways in my first few years at uni that upperclassmen would notice me is that especially after like parish functions, like we'd have the church service on Sunday, then I'd just kind of stay at the church and just do all my homework. Sometimes they'd offer like, let's go out to dinner, and I'd be like, well, I can't drive, so I'm just gonna stay behind. And they were like, oh, no worries, man, we'll drive you. And so uh, I built a lot of friendships actually that way of just people who would offer a ride, or they'd take no as not an answer unless they had a genuine, really good reason why I shouldn't join them and be among the group. And so, um, as a graduate, I still wanted to be able to share that welcome with students. And so during the pandemic, I actually got my own driver's license, got my own vehicle. And so I had offered that to the new students. Okay, if there's ever somewhere they need to go, I would put it to them, as I've got 24 years of car rides to repay, so I'm happy to put that forward to.
I love that pay it forward example, because your story captures both how you felt included, how you felt a sense of belonging and connection, and then how you were going to extend that same experience to others. Is there anything else you want to speak to in that theme of how you really look to notice other people? What does that mean for you?
I think in any facet of life, I even think about it more recently with the serving in Asia, trying to just help people through different spiritual things they were going through. How the biggest advice that I had for people as I've now left and gone forth has just been leaning on the scripture that Jesus had said of love one another as I have loved you. And I think about how so many times when I'd sit down with people and they'd open up about the struggles they have, something I hope a lot of people take away is that they don't need some outsider to open up to about these things. That in their own communities, as they build trust, as they build confidence in one another, my real hope is that they can have these conversations with each other, that we don't need to have like intermediaries. So I do wish for that the communities themselves, where I've been able to be a part of, that they too are able to grow among each other as well.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because we produce this resource to be a tool for educators to utilize, for community leaders, for faith leaders to take into their own communities to spark conversation. And so exactly what you're describing, of that hope that people can build that sense of trust and connection across maybe lines of difference and within their own communities, it really can start conversations, we hope. The stories shared here can spark more discussion. So Grace, I would love to invite you to maybe offer your own story of belonging as an example of exactly what we're hoping folks can do with the flip book. We want people to feel like it isn't a huge task or lesson or big tool you have to spend lots of hours absorbing, that it can be as simple as inviting someone to share their own story and to reflect. So in the very intro of the flip book, you'll see the exact questions that we asked when we did the first layer of this activation, which Raphael and Queena helped design. And it was, how did someone or something in your community make you feel noticed, named, and known? Or we also wanted to be people to give people the option to answer maybe from a place of like, I'm not experiencing that belonging that I can name, and this is what I wish was happening. So the other question was, how would you have hoped to experience a sense of belonging? How do you wish someone or something in your community would have supported you in this past year? So these stories really were looking at the last school year, the last year in the workplace, where so much of life has been disrupted in all directions with the pandemic. And so who is really showing up for you, and who is supporting you, or where do you wish that was happening? So Grace, I'd love to invite you to have your story build off of the stories in the flip book. What would you share with us? How would you respond to those prompts?
Yeah, of course. I think that the major way that, especially this year, I've experienced belonging in my community was by joining the theater group at my school. Basically, they were doing a show, and then like a few people quit, and they were like, "Grace, do you want to do it?" And I was like, "Sure." Which was like a blessing in disguise, because then I decided to do like every show with them. And it's a really small group of people. We have a really great director. And it was just the kind of place, and one of the first places where I've experienced where I was immediately like embraced with open arms by everyone there. And it was like every effort that I put in for the production and for anyone else was appreciated and seen. Everything I said was heard. I was treated like I was like talented, just like everyone else, and every support that I gave everyone was given back to me like tenfold. And it was just one of the first places where I really realized like I don't have to try too hard here to be someone I'm not, so that I can be liked. I just felt like the people there liked me for who I was immediately. And yeah.
That's wonderful. I love that. Go for it. What else were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say it's all like a mutual thing, just seeing how all of those people, like different age ranges, different stories, just liked each other unconditionally, all supported each other, no matter what, and then reaching into that group and slowly realizing that those people felt the same way for me, even if I was there for like a month or a week, or once I was there for like a year. It was all the same, and being able to give that back to them and feel that support from all those people was really important to me.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. Whenever someone has found like their crew or their place within a school setting, I think it's really significant. Do you feel like that sense of belonging that you're describing, do you feel like that came from your peers or the director of this drama program, or is it kind of a combination both of the, you know, your peers and the adults in that space?
I think definitely a combination of both. Definitely the kids there. One of the important things to me, actually, the second show we did there, the first one I did by like, sure, it's okay, I'll do this, was really heavily focused around mental health. And so, director, every time we would come to a rehearsal and leave a rehearsal, we would ask a question sort of related to mental health or just like a personal question. And hearing everyone just feel that comfortable automatically to share like deeply personal things.
Yeah.
Me feel that kind of like, oh, I can share these things too. And everyone would listen, and everyone was very supportive of each other. Things like that. Knowing you have that support, but then also just being able to like joke with these people, and then everyone is just doing something they love all together is really important. And yet the director was also really important just in believing in everyone unconditionally.
I love that. I think you gave really, you know, direct, concrete examples of what it looks like to just create a community where there was honest reflection and where you could talk about real stuff. And that's what we hear from young people over and over again, that they want to be having these sort of real conversations, that they are thinking about mental health issues. They're discussing it with peers, and they're looking for trusted adults to be engaging these issues alongside them. So thank you for unpacking that even a little bit more. I'd love to go back to Quina and Raphael. And you both have stories that are in the flip book as well. Quina's, like I said, is in the notice section. Raphael, I think yours is in the known section. But what was it like to be published in this way? And is there anything else you want to share about the process of, you know, being involved? You even helped us with how we wanted to market this and announce it on social media. So you've seen it through many different phases. I'd love to hear more of your thoughts.
I would like to say that first, the idea of being a flip book, everyone was able to be presented their own mental health experience, and I want to give a shout out to Alexandra, my team manager, and my peers, especially for making me feel like I am belonged in this project and I'm credited for my work.
She's awesome. I love Alexandra. She's such a good example of a trusted adult who really looks out for young people, who cheers them on, who makes sure that their contributions are not just heard and received, but but honored and given credit, just like you said.
I was
Raphael, oh, sorry. Yeah, anything else you wanted to share, Queen? I didn't mean to cut you off.
I want to say that having everyone's experience and mental health journey in the book, I was able to resonate because there was so much people, and I felt like this was also a belonging process where they were shown in the book. Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool to hear. I like thinking of the time capsule as that element, like it's its own place to belong, to be heard, to have your story received, and to have it echoed back in so many communities as we have people accessing this digital flipbook, this free resource from all over the place. Well said. Raphael, what are any other thoughts you want to share about this experience of being published, or how you've entered into this belonging conversation?
Yeah, well, in my story, I really highlight the importance of, my manager, Alexandria, as well as my peers, my teachers, as well as my parents. I feel very supported and known, in my connections. Being placed in this known section, it really does exemplify sort of my experience with, belongingness. I do feel belonging in my sort of, my group, right, of my people, and I do feel confident as well as, very looked after by the people, that I'm surrounded by. And I also wanted to point out, the tip that was in my section, which was, highlighting the outliers in your community. I think that, that is really important in creating a fully rounded community, because a lot of people, they are left out, or they're not, they're outliers, but
Yeah.
people don't really in changing that. And I think that it's important for teachers, friend groups, and everyone in general to sort of eliminate that problem.
Oh, I'm really glad you said that. I feel like there's stories that capture that exact experience where someone's like, I see other people having fun, or I see others connected, and I want to have that experience as well. So to have that intentionality to look for who is that outlier, who's maybe not enfolded into the community or into the class or into the club or the group, whatever it might be in a school setting or beyond. That's really well said. What Raphael is helping point to is the fact that we have actionable insights and research throughout the report as well, folding into these three sections of noticed, named, and known. And we have what we call tide turning tips sprinkled throughout the report as well, which are just research-backed ways of how you can initiate change and build connection in whatever places you're existing. That could be a workplace, that could be an after school program, that could be a higher ed institution. The setting doesn't matter. A lot of the tips can be applied across a number of communities and spaces. So I'm opening it up for whoever wants to respond to these last questions. How could you see this resource, the LessLonely 2022 time capsule, how could you see it used in some of the communities or groups in which you're involved?
I'll go. I
Yeah.
think a lot of schools, as well as places of congregation. I'm not entirely sure, but just places where people are surrounded by each other, right? And I think that a resource like this, and where people share their emotions and stories, it's good for other people to hear others experiences. That really help in terms of understanding what you're going through, as well as understanding what others are going through.
I agree. That's exactly what I hope it is, that it can just build a place of listening, of receiving someone else's story and sharing your own. Anyone else want to speak to that? Okay, so I'm wondering if you could see a specific teacher or a specific community leader or faith leader implementing some of those tips that I was referencing before. Is there one, besides the one that Raphael already mentioned, that you find especially helpful?
One tip that I find especially helpful is being named, because when you're being named, they're referring to that person, and it will make them feel like they belong, and um, the person the understanding of who you are.
So true. When like names are so, it seems maybe like obvious, but it's carries so much connection in it because you're honoring someone's um, identity in a lot of different levels. When you are able to know their name, pronounce it correctly, you're honoring their story and what brought their name to be. You're honoring some of their cultural or ethnic heritage, and alongside that, honoring their pronouns, the full sort of encompassment of what makes their identity who they are. So that named level is second. Like you first have to notice someone, and then knowing their name in a classroom setting. I can't tell you how many times my name was mispronounced growing up, and when someone would get it right, it felt so good to be like, you really see me, and you are taking the time to make sure you're saying my name correctly. Going forward, it built a lot more shared respect, to go from there to known being that third level. I'm really glad you pointed that one out, Queena. Anyone else want to offer one of those tide turning tips that you think is important to see implemented in different communities?
I really liked I think, first one, it was on page 13, about helping facilitate peer to peer connection. I just think that's really important um, because as a young person myself, I know a lot of kids, no matter how welcoming or kind an adult has been, sometimes it's just scary to be able to open up to someone who's older than you or someone in a figure of
Yeah.
authority. Um, just because it feels like there's a power imbalance. And while I think it's really important for all people in authority in connection with young kids to offer as many resources as they can for young kids in regards to mental health. I just think like the most important resource that they can offer or help offer is just connection with each other,
Hmm.
because that's often where young people will feel the most comfortable.
Totally. And so many stories reflect that reality because a lot of the stories where young people name belonging, it's when a different friend looked out for them. So if there are adults who can say, how can I cultivate that kind of culture in my classroom, in my workplace, in this, extracurricular program I oversee, that goes a long way to not just build trust with an authority figure and a young person, like you said, Grace, but among everyone in the space. Some of the stories talk about experiences of bullying and being left out. And so the more that trusted adults can be mindful of what it looks like to address the culture in the space where they're at, to make it a place where young people feel less lonely, then that is exactly what this tool and the research in there is looking to help you cultivate. We're coming to the end of our time here, but you guys have been so helpful in what you've offered, not just in this conversation, but in helping get this product out. And I really can't emphasize enough how much we want people to utilize it near and far. So please share it with others. You can find it again at springtideresearch.org/LessLonely. It's just one click. You can download it free on the spot. And yeah, the flipbook stories are there to be a testament of what 2022 has already looked like, what the past school year has meant, and the ways that we can all be more mindful to create communities and cultures where young people really do feel noticed, named, known, and less lonely. Is there anything anyone wants to offer as just one last word of something you're hoping to share today?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to you as well as the Springtide Institute for, creating this collaboration, with the Less Lonely Project. It was great, talking to you guys, working with you on this project, as well as, even opening our eyes and our perspectives to, teen loneliness. So, just want to say thank you very much.
We've been so honored to partner with you both, with the other team producers, and with everyone at the Belfer Center for Innovation and Social Impact that's housed at 92Y in New York. We have loved getting to share the stories, and we really hope that all of the stories there inspire more conversation. And we are happy to be in conversation. You can find us on social media. On that last page of the flipbook, you can find all the ways to follow 92NY. You can find all the ways to follow Springtide so that we can stay in this mental health and Gen Z and stay in this less lonely conversation together. But thank you again to Raphael, to Quina, to Grace, and Daniel. We're really honored to be in partnership with you. Take care.
Yeah, thank you.
Take care. Be at peace.